John is the chairperson of Kizuna Child Parent Reunion. John?
Hello everyone. Very glad to be here, and thank you very much for all the people that made this possible. Members of the Permanent Bureau, our host country, thank you. Our host country, who all made this possible. Some of you may remember my talk from last year. I'll refresh a little bit about that. What I spoke about was the idea to have access for whichever parent has not succeeded in their Hague ruling. That means if a taking parent has non-return, that the seeking parent should have access. Or if the return order has been given, that the taking parent should have access. The purpose of this is that in the case of rulings, these are zero-sum actions, binary actions. But children don't have zero-sum binary relationships with their two parents. Earlier in session 2, Ms. Hendricks spoke about existential loyalty. This is not any kind of loyalty. This is the loyalty that children have for their parents. And that includes even if there is, in fact, domestic violence. Still, children have this feeling toward their parents. The issue becomes if there isn't some kind of relief for the parent who does not succeed in their ruling, what happens to that relationship between that parent and the child? If we're truly considering the children's best interest, we need to provide some means of relationship by access. And importantly, we need to have a process, and this of course extends beyond the typical scope of the convention. What kind of process can be facilitated such that children can heal and reconcile with both of their parents, both the alleged or actual abuser as well as the seeking parent. Otherwise, as I said last year, there's going to be an eternal battle, if you will, between the parents. This serves nobody of benefit. So I'm going to suggest a kind of mini breakout here. And this is a very effective and powerful technique that's used in psychology. It's used in the law. It's used in many different spheres of human activity. It's called a role reversal test. So now I suggest that anyone who's been advocating for whichever, the taking parent or the seeking parent, if you've been doing advocacy for that or legal representation for whichever party, please consider, please imagine to the best of your ability, assuming taking the other role or the opposite position. Sincerely and deeply, as best as you possibly can. Because if we truly have a child-focused, child-centered, and trauma-informed point of view, the child has observed both parents, experienced both parents, then we need to understand the positions and the feeling and the motive of both parents. But if we polarize our position to one side, we simply cannot understand and cannot come to common ground with the other side. In fact, the two parties and the two sides become so entrenched, it becomes extremely difficult. And the purpose of this forum series is to, in fact, come to understand the other side for the benefit of the children. So the basic other concept that I want to explain is, if a child has lost access after whichever ruling occurs, then we've discussed and we've heard so many of the hurdles and difficulties of that parent who has not succeeded in recovering access, in not being arrested, in not being stigmatized or criminalized in their action. And again, the child will eventually become aware of all of these things. What does that do to the child's psyche in terms of their relationship with both parents? Well, in order for the children to heal and reconcile, they need some means of access to their parent. Otherwise, it's in absentia or video. Well, video's okay in this post-COVID world, but it's not quite the same as a hug from your parent. I recognize these things, protective measures, all of these issues, psychological complexities, these are extremely difficult, but if we truly want to do service to children, we have to take every means necessary in order to facilitate the ultimate goal of serving their best interests and protecting them. I believe a way to resolve this kind of zero-sum binary result of a ruling, it's only one step towards a future of healing and reconciliation that needs access after the ruling. I recognize it's difficult. Protective orders, protective measures are violated. There are all kinds of techniques. Then we need to do what's necessary to make it safe for all parties in a family. What I'm talking about is future-looking, aspirational. I understand that, but we need to have a concept in order to direct our actions toward a future that improves the process of taking care of children who've been abducted internationally as well as abused within the family, either directly or by observation. Thank you for your time.